Our first lesson today is going to be just some of the basic stuff for Algebra 1. So we're going to start with the order of operations, which you've probably already heard of before, and that is PEMDAS. So we're just going to write that down. And each one stands for something, so P is parentheses, E is exponents, M multiplication, D is division, A is for addition, let's put add, and then subtract. So this just tells you the order that you should complete the parts of a problem so that everyone in the end would get the same answer. One thing to remember though is that multiplication and division go together and addition and subtraction go together, so you do them in the order that you see them from left to right. You want to make yourself a little note of that. So like if division came before multiplication, you would still do the division first. And we'll do this first example over here to the right. So I see first that I have some parentheses here, 3 plus 2. I'm just going to go ahead and do that, which is 5. And then next is exponents, and I see some exponents over here, 5 squared. And if you don't already know, 5 squared is 5 times 5, so that is going to be 25. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that above there. Next comes multiplication and division, again in the order that you see it. So the first thing I see here is this 10 divided by 4. And so I don't have to deal with decimals and all that kind of stuff right now. I'm just going to write 10 over 4, 10 fourths to start with. And we're going to take that times 5, and then plus 25, plus 6, minus 9. So next we have multiplication. So this right here. Now this, I'm going to go ahead and simplify it down to a decimal. You can use your calculator to do it, but it will come out to be 12.5. And then I'm just going to add that to 25, and then add 6 to that, and then subtract 9. And when you do all of that, you could just enter that onto your calculator at once if you wanted to. You get 34.5. All right, we're going to do it again on this next one, but this one is a little bit different because we have some substitution to do. So if you want to make yourself a note, when you see something like this, that means substitution. So that means that I'm going to put 2 in for the x, and then I'm going to put 9 in for the y, and then I'll do my order of operations. So by doing that, I get 2 times 2 squared plus 3 times 9 plus 6. So the first thing I see is some parentheses and exponents here. Because there's nothing to solve within these parentheses, we're just going to treat that as like a multiplication problem. So I'll come back to that. So the first thing I'm going to do is that 2 squared there. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. And then I have 4 times 2. So I'll do 2 times the 4. And if you want to, we can go ahead and just simplify that down to 8. And then we have 3 times 9, which is 27, and then plus 6. And again, it's just adding all of these together to get our final answer of 41. Next is like terms. Again, most of this should be a review. Like terms have to have the same variable. If you don't know what a variable is, it's like a letter like X, Y, A, B, Z, whatever it might be. And it has to have the same exponent, like number. So 2 the squared would go with 2 the squared. You can't combine 2 the squared with something to the third. And terms are separated by an addition sign or a subtraction sign. So we're going to go ahead and simplify these down here. So if I have a 7x and a negative 3x, or 7 minus 3, that gives me 4x. And I have 4p squared minus 2p squared, which leaves me with 2p squared. So for example, if this 2 right here was instead of 3, then we could not combine them because the exponents have to be the same. And sometimes the letters will be together. So this is xy. So I have 10xy plus 5xy. That gives me 15xy. All right, one more, combining like terms. This one we need to remember to put this into standard form when we solve it. Standard form means that you're starting with the biggest exponent and going to the smallest. So I'm going to start with my to the third power ones. I'm going to write those first. Then I'll combine my to the second power. I don't have any to the first power, but then I just have this number left over. So let's start with our first ones here. We have 2a to the third and 3a to the third combines to become 5a to the third. Negative 10ab squared minus ab squared becomes negative 11ab squared. Don't forget there is that like invisible 1 right here. That helps you remember. And then we have a minus 7, doesn't go with anything, so I'm going to stick at the end. Next is the distributive property. All right, the distributive property, fairly simple. You just take the number on the outside and distribute it or multiply it in. So we are going to be multiplying here. The biggest thing to remember here that I see that people forget is to remember to distribute the single lonely negative sign. So if you have like a negative sign like this is actually like negative 1. It's kind of like there's a 1 right there. So you have to take this negative sign and distribute it. So this becomes 4 minus 2x minus 3. And then we can combine 4 with minus 3. And again, in standard form, the letters have to come first. So this would become negative 2x plus 1. This next one here is a little bit easier visually. So we have the minus 4 to distribute over. So this becomes 3 minus 4z minus 8. And then I can combine my 3 with my minus 8 to get a final answer of negative 4z minus 5. Remember, for standard form, your letters come first. You need to write that down for yourself. Go ahead. The last thing we have here is function notation. So this f and then parentheses x here, this is read as f of x. That's how we read it. And really, this is just kind of another way for substitution. So if this is asking me to find g of 2, that's how we would read this one with a different letter, that really just means that x is 2. So in this here, this will become 2, and this will become 2. So I have 2 squared minus 3 times 2 plus 1. And we go back to our PEMDAS in order of operations, which gives me 4 minus 6 plus 1, which gives me an answer of negative 1. All right, this next one, this f of 4 is really just telling me that, well, we don't have x's here, so here we have a t, so it's going to be that t equals 4. So right here, I'm going to put 4 plus 2, pretty easy, that is 6. All right, so those are all of our first notes. Let me know if you have any questions.